Alright guys, in today's video we are going to be having a discussion about the big events that are going to be happening over the next few months. Now obviously Sony and Microsoft both have consoles they are going to be releasing at the end of this year, and so because of that they're going to be having some big events that are going to showcase some hopefully very exciting games to entice people to go out and buy these consoles. We all know this already. We also know that apparently Microsoft's big event, at least when it comes to the games themselves, is going to be in July. Microsoft already established this. Now Sony has yet to formally announce when they're going to be doing their event, but as of right now, as it stands, it's happening in early June, probably within the next 2 weeks, within the next 14 days at some point. Now, the reason why I want to have a discussion about this is because there's a little bit of information that I did talk about in my last episode of Press X podcast, but I understand that not everybody is able to watch the podcast, and not everybody's able to watch the entirety of it, and so I wanted to kind of talk more about this in a shorter video here, because I think it's pretty interesting if it's true, and I honestly just want to kind of gauge what you guys think about this, how you guys feel. I'm obviously going to give you my thoughts on it. What I'm talking about here is how apparently Microsoft, according to an insider anyway, is expected to go all out during their July Xbox event when it comes to games. Now, I think this is an important conversation to have because it kind of naturally brings up the question, well, two questions. The first question is, if Sony is going to have an event before Microsoft and they're going to have it in early June, how big is that going to be in comparison to what Microsoft's event is going to be in July? And is Microsoft going to be doing their own event in June? It seems like they are. However, it might be very different from Sony's event. And another big question it raises is, you know, who's going to have the better showcase? Who's going to have the bigger showcase? Who's going to have the more impactful games showcase? And this is what I want to talk about in this video. So before we go any further, if you could do me a big favor, make sure you hit the like button to show your support and help the video out. You guys have been showing amazing support on the channel recently, so I want to thank you for that. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well so you don't miss any future content. And I do want to let you know that tomorrow we are having another episode of Press X podcast here on the channel, and it will be going live at 12 p.m. Eastern, so I hope to see you there. But this is the information we're going to be going over first. It says Microsoft is expected to go all out during July's first-party Xbox Series X event, according to a reputable insider, Shinobi. Earlier this month, Microsoft showed off numerous third-party titles coming to the Xbox Series X, including Assassin's Creed Valhalla, The Medium, Dirt 5, and Yakuza Like a Dragon. Despite announcing that over 140 publishers and individual developers are working on Xbox Series X titles, many fans expressed to be disappointed with Microsoft's third-party showing. Following criticism, Xbox's marketing manager Aaron Greenberg acknowledged that the team might have set the wrong expectations for the event. From the looks of it, however, Microsoft's planned July Xbox Series X event will be different, and according to a well-known insider, Shinobi, Phil Spencer and his team are expected to lay all the cards on the table. I don't like to give something like number rankings because July could roll around and someone might not get a specific announcement they were looking for and feel let down. That's what he wrote on ResetError on the forums, and things can certainly change between now and 2 months from now. So he also goes on to say the idea, and he's talking about the Xbox event and in July what Microsoft's main plan is. He says the idea was always to basically lay all the cards on the table from first party and have a big blowout. And there's a ton of stuff to be excited about. Definitely some big AAA Xbox Game Studio reveals, other big third parties on stage, although not necessarily exclusive. Now, he obviously adds the caveat that things could change due to everything that's going on in the world. Seems that things have been changing last minute fairly often these days, but I don't think that's going to be the case as we go into June and July, because at some point both Sony and Microsoft are going to have to put their cards on the table. So it goes on to say here, as just confirmed by Halo developer 343 Industries, the upcoming Halo Infinite will be present during Microsoft's July Xbox event. You may have seen people talking about this lightly before, but we're extremely excited to confirm that Halo Infinite will be one of the many first-party titles included in the Xbox 2020 event in July, and this is what a developer wrote on the official Halo Waypoint blog. Now, this developer didn't confirm whether it's going to be actual gameplay, but I mean, come on. At that point, we have to see gameplay of Halo Infinite if it's going to launch at the end of this year, right? Now, the reason why I'm going over this information is because, first of all, we don't know how true it is, but it is coming from Shinobi, and they are, widely considered to be pretty reputable and reliable, and they wouldn't just make something like this up, and we can assume this is what he's been hearing, but this brings up the question, and again, I want to relay this to my audience, because I'm just genuinely curious what you guys think. I mean, when I talk about this live during the podcast, it's hard to kind of keep up with what everybody's saying during the live chat, and I can't really rely on the comments too much, because I'm not sure how many people leaving comments, listen to that specific part of the 2.5-hour podcast. So I want you guys to tell me, what do you think about this? Do you really believe that Microsoft is going to go all out? But a better question is, if they do go all out, right? If they do decide to lay all the cards on the table, let's just say by some chance they actually show something from almost every one of their first-party studios, every single one. Do you think it's going to be enough? Do you think they're actually going to knock it out of the park this time? And do you think they're going to meet people's expectations? Because maybe it's just me, but I would assume that the expectation that the majority of gamers have when it comes to Microsoft talking about the Xbox in any capacity going forward, after especially what happened with their May event, is the expectation is through the roof. People expect some very exciting things. And we know we're going to get Halo, right? We know we're going to get Halo gameplay. I think maybe it's realistic to expect maybe another Forza announcement. But at this point, people are wondering, what's the new stuff going to be? And if they're really going to be laying all the cards out on the table, is it going to be enough to match what Sony's going to potentially do in their June event? Now, this does raise other questions as well. Again, this is mostly just a discussion video. I don't really have any sources or anything. I don't have any inside information. All I have really is just the speculation I can offer. But another question that arises is, what is Sony's event in June going to look like? Is this Sony's plan as well? Does Sony plan to do the exact same thing that Microsoft is going to do by laying out all the cards on the table and showing their hand, or are they only going to show a few and save some for later? I have a feeling that both Sony and Microsoft have been holding a lot in for a while now. They've been hiding things purposely and saving them for these moments that are going to be happening in the next couple of months, because they're going to need them. There's no doubt that both Sony and Microsoft want to make the biggest possible splash they can to get people as excited as they possibly can to go out there and buy their new consoles. And so people are now asking, well, okay, if we have Sony going first in June, right? If they let's just assume, because I think this is the general expectation, let's just assume that Sony's event is a massive hit. I'm talking people are blown away by the stuff that Sony announces and shows off. At that point, you're going to see a lot of added pressure to Microsoft, even more so, because from what I've heard, Microsoft is planning on doing something in June, and we know they're going to do something in June because they said it themselves. They plan to have some type of next generation news to talk about month over month leading up to the launch of their next generation Xbox console. So in June, what I've heard is that Microsoft is planning to focus just on the console itself, potentially maybe even revealing the Xbox Series S console or the Lockhart console, although we don't know about that. That's still very much up in the air. Nobody seems to actually know for sure what Microsoft plans to do with that console, when they're going to announce it. But regardless, in June, Microsoft's big focus is going to be on showing off more of the Xbox Series X and going in deeper with features and more details on that, but they're not really going to be focused so much on the games. That's not to say that there wouldn't be any game announcements. Maybe we could see a new first-party game announcement to showcase alongside the Xbox Series X. Maybe we'll see some more Hellblade 2, something along those lines, but basically it's not going to be the big game showcase that Sony is planning on doing in early June. So if Sony knocks it out of the park, how much more added pressure is now going to be on Microsoft with their July event? If they plan to go last, right, let's just assume when it comes to their big game showcase, if they go last, in mid-July or early July or maybe even late July, and they don't deliver, I think Microsoft could have some serious problems on their hands because, listen, we've been hearing some rumors of, and again, I have a video I'm going to be doing later on this. I know I keep saying that, but it will be coming at some point. We've been hearing a lot of rumors about some of the games that Sony is apparently has in the pipeline. Like, we already know pretty much Demon's Souls, whether anybody wants to believe it or not, is practically guaranteed at this point. We know by this point it's safe to assume we're going to get maybe a Gran Turismo 7, but now we're hearing that Silent Hill is going to this is actually a real thing, and it's going to be a PS5 exclusive. What is Microsoft going to have that's going to compete against that? Nothing against Halo, and I know people are excited to see more of Halo Infinite, but Halo's not going to be enough. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what Phil Spencer or anybody else running Microsoft thinks. I can tell you, you don't need to be a genius to look at this and realize Halo isn't going to be enough. So I guess what I'm trying to get at with this video, guys, is, we're hearing that Microsoft is going to be laying all of the cards out on the table, and I guess the big question I'm left with, that I'm sure many of you are also left with, is, are those cards going to be enough? Right? Like, I'm sure if that's true, Microsoft probably feels pretty confident, right? And we kind of heard Phil Spencer talk about this on Twitter a little bit, where he kind of said it's really hard to keep the secrets and not talk about it. Well, I really hope that it's true. Like, I hope that we do see them really lay everything out on the table, and we see them actually deliver a significant blow, I guess you could say, to Sony, because I feel like that's just good competition. But I don't know. I just wanted to take some time to talk about this, guys, because there isn't really any big news out here right now, breaking news or anything to cover, and this is just something that I've been pondering, and as we get closer to these events, I just can't help but wonder, like, who's going to have the better event? Who's going to have the better showing? And I think because most of us here are PlayStation fans, PlayStation enthusiasts, it's easy for us to just assume that, oh, it's definitely going to be Sony, but even then, like, people who aren't as enthusiastic about the PlayStation brand as we are, I think it's safe to say that Sony's proven that they know the type of games that their audience is expecting and look forward to. I mean, they've proven that this generation. They've proven that they know how to deliver the games. Microsoft hasn't. So I think that there's a lot more pressure on Microsoft regardless. But I guess I'll end this video by saying I firmly believe that if Sony comes out ahead of Microsoft and they just knock it out of the park, and they do not disappoint, in fact, they get people even more hyped and they build even more momentum going into the launch of the PlayStation 5, and their games just resonate with the core audience, I think that's going to add a significant amount of extra pressure on Microsoft, because as I said, I think the pressure is already there, and I think the pressure is pretty great, but this is going to add a lot more. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. I'm starting to ramble. Let me know your thoughts about all this down in the comments below. I will be interested to see what you guys have to say. Again, leave the video a like if you did enjoy it, or if you enjoy these discussion type videos. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and haven't already. Hit the bell notification icon so you never miss an upload, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.